head armorer for the movie Rust was not qualified. Welcome to another installment of the Connecticut Gun Bench. This video is brought to you today by P.A.N. Firearms LLC. P.A.N. Firearms for your NRA certification and multifaceted gun training. You can reach us at 203-300-6343 or visit our website at www.panfirearmsllc.com. As always, there'll be a link in the description box below. But let's talk about this. This has been a developing story, and despite the fact that I had already made a video about this a couple of days ago, I thought it prudent to follow through for the sake of clarity. As we already know, there was a fatal accident on the production set for Alec Baldwin's new movie, Rust.
Unfortunately, we begin with breaking news on a shooting in New Mexico involving actor Alec Baldwin. Sheriffs say that one person was killed and another was injured when Baldwin fired a prop gun on a movie set. He has not been charged with a crime. He was questioned after yesterday's shooting, and then he was released. The movie cinematographer, 42-year-old Helena Hutchins, died in this incident. Director Joel Souza was treated at a hospital for unspecified injuries. Jonathan Bigliotti is following this story.
The information available claims that Baldwin was handed what was referred to as a cold gun, loosely translated in the movie industry as a safe weapon. It was handed to him by assistant director David Halls, who acquired it from the head armorer.
Choke me like you hate me, but you love me, low-key, wanna date me when you
touch me with the lights off and my chains on, baby.
The person in the video is Guttirez-Reed. She is, as of this video, the head armorer for the movie. But now information is starting to come to surface, and from all indications, she was in over her head in not only qualifications, but experience also. From the Insider article, let's bring that up. 24-year-old head armorer of Alec Baldwin's movie Rust told a podcast she almost didn't take her last job because she wasn't sure if she was ready. The head gun handler for the movie Rust, which made headlines after cinematographer Helena Hutchins was fatally shot by Alec Baldwin on set, revealed last month that she worried about her experience level for her first job. Guttirez-Reed, 24, told a podcast she almost didn't take the job, her first as head armorer, because she wasn't sure if she was ready for it, Metro reported. Guttirez-Reed, the daughter of veteran Hollywood armorer Thel Reed, said on the Voices of the West podcast that Rust was only her second film as head armorer. She had just finished shooting the movie The Old Way with Clint Howard and Nicolas Cage, and it was a really badass way to start off a really long and cool career, she said on the podcast. It was my first time being head armorer as well, Gutierrez-Reed said. I almost didn't take the job because I wasn't sure if I was ready, but doing it like it went really smoothly. Gutierrez-Reed added that she was initially fearful of loading blanks. I think loading blanks was the scariest thing to me because I was like, oh, I don't know anything about it, she said, but her famous father, she said, helped train her up. Now, she did her first movie, loading blanks as head armorer, was not comfortable doing it, but then moves on to accept the head armorer position for the next production. With her father being well-groomed in the industry, common sense says, work with him until you are not hesitant about performing the task of loading blanks, until you're comfortable with the function. So it appears she was hired more on name recognition than actual experience. There were complaints from crew members, some of whom walked off the set over money issues, that safety measures were being overlooked to keep the production within the low budgetary production set by Baldwin. So there is every indication that they hired Gutierrez-Reed based more on finances. I don't know that for sure. But looking at the information that is coming forward and coming to the light, it starts to paint a picture. And I do have an opinion why the focus has changed, or the very focus has changed from Baldwin to now to the Gutierrez-Reed. I'll get to that later. From another Insider article, previous boss, get that up there, Previous boss of Rust Armorer defended her work but admitted being worried about her lack of experience. A former boss of the armor of the set, Rust, praised her abilities but had said her lack of experience was a concern when he worked with her, according to the Los Angeles Times. 24-year-old Hannah Guttirez-Reed, the movie's armor, has not spoken publicly since cinematographer Helena Hutchins was fatally shot on set by Alec Baldwin on Thursday. But Jeffrey W. Crow, who supervised Gutierrez-Reed as the armorer on the Old Way, told the LA Times about his time working with her. Crow called her an exceptional young and upcoming, very eager and talented armorer, while noting how new she was to the dangerous work. An affidavit from a Santa Fe County Sheriff's Department released Sunday and seen by Insider described the events of the shooting. The document said that Gutierrez-Reed was overseeing 3 guns on the set, one of which was picked up by Assistant Director Dave Halls and given to Baldwin. A portion of an affidavit describing the shooter of Helena Hutchins on the set of Rust, it said that Halls yelled "cold gun" when giving Baldwin the weapon, industry jargon to indicate that a weapon is not dangerous. When Baldwin started using it to practice a scene, the document said, it fired. The projectile struck Hutchins as well as director Joel Souza, who was injured but survived. The affidavit said that after the shooting, Gutierrez-Reed retrieved the gun, removed the spent casing, and gave the weapon to sheriff's deputies when they arrived. Gutierrez-Reed Voices the Web podcast in September that she was worried she might not be ready for the job on the Old Way since the fatal shooting on Rust. 2 former colleagues of the Old Way, who were not named, told the Daily Beast that she was a bit careless with the gun on set. And that goes to the next article here. Head armor of Rust once gave an 11-year-old actress a gun without checking it properly. The head armor on Alec Baldwin's film Rust was a bit careless with guns and, according to the Daily Beast, once gave a weapon to a child actress without thoroughly checking it. 2 production sources who worked alongside Hannah Gutierrez-Reed on The Old Way, starring Clint Howard and Nicolas Cage, said that the filming had to briefly stop after an incident with child actress Ryan Kiera Armstrong. The Daily Beast reported that Gutierrez-Reed, the armor on the set, when Baldwin just a prop gun that fatally struck 42-year-old cinematographer Helena Hutchins, allegedly loaded a weapon on the ground in an area filled with pebbles. Then, per the media outlet, she handed it to an 11-year-old girl without adequately checking for barrel obstructions. 2 sources said crew members intervened and called for a pause on filming until Gutierrez-Reed had properly checked the firearm. She was reloading, quote, she was reloading the gun on the ground where there were pebbles and stuff. We didn't see her check it. We didn't know if something got in the barrel or not, one source said, per the Daily Beast. One source suggested to the media outlet that she was a bit careless with the guns, waving it around every now and again. They told the Daily Beast there were a couple of times she was loading the blanks and doing it in a fashion that we thought was unsafe. This has been an ever-evolving story. As of today, the New York Post has come up with more information concerning this event, and the headline is Alec Baldwin was practicing pointing revolver at camera during fatal prop gun mishap. Santa Fe, New Mexico. Alec Baldwin was practicing a cross draw in a church pew that required pointing his weapon at the camera during the prop gun mishap that left cinematographer Helena Hutchins dead, newly released documents reveal. 2 new witness accounts made public by the Santa Fe Sheriff's Office on Sunday night described the harrowing moment the 42-year-old director of photography was shot inside the church building on the New Mexico set of the film Rust. Baldwin was rehearsing the gun retrieval method from the pew of the mock church at Bonanza Creek Ranch when he aimed at the camera, while both Hutchins and 48-year-old director Joel Souza stood behind it. Souza then says he heard a loud pop and realized both he and Hutchins were bleeding, according to a police interview. Now all this, and then there's also, Souza has been interviewed and he made some interesting statements. I'll put this in the description box below. But Souza told investigators that filming started late Thursday because most of the crew quit that morning and they had to find another crew to film. He says once they found another crew, filming took longer than normal because they only had one camera to film the scene. But then we go down. The crew member claimed that when those issues were brought up, the issues of safety were brought up to production, they were ignored. He also said that there had been 2 accidental discharges within 10 minutes of one another just days before. Okay? Now, all this information is coming out is damning, specifically damning for Guttirez-Reed, but her lack of experience is no excuse for bypassing firearm safety. Yes, Gutierrez-Reed should have checked the firearm, but David Hall should have checked it once he picked it up off the table, and Alec Baldwin should have checked it also when it got to his hands. As I said in an earlier video, there is no excuse for poor firearm safety. But, on to my other point. My opinion, let me be clear. This is less about firearms and more about propaganda. Look at how quickly the narrative has shifted from Baldwin to Gutierrez-Reed. Gives me the indication that she is going to be thrown under the bus to protect Baldwin from criminal charges. But let me know what you think. Leave your comments in the comment section below. As always, any statements of violence or statements for calls to violence will be deleted. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, let you know when the next one's going live. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.